Hi, I'm Glenn Rogers, and this is Biblical Insights. Our video today is entitled Two Paths. What do I mean by that? Well, two roads, two ways to live your life, two choices that you have to make. That's what we're talking about. And one is preferable, one is really good, and the other, not so much. And our text for thinking about this is going to be taken from the book of Psalm. In fact, the very first book of Psalms. So we're going to be reading Psalms 1. And I'm going to read it out of the New International Version. Blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of mockers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. He is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever he does prospers. Not so the wicked. They are like chaff that the wind blows away. Therefore, the wicked will not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the assembly of the Lord. For the Lord watches over the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked will perish. What the psalmist did here in this opening psalm, kind of an introduction to the book of Psalms, is to present two different ways of living, two different ways of thinking about life, and two different choices for how one is going to live. You know, there are some religious people out there, even in Christianity, who believe that God determines beforehand, they call it predestination, everything that happens, and that he even determines whether you are going to be a good person or a bad person, whether you're going to be saved or lost. You haven't anything to do with it. You haven't anything to say about it. It's just going to happen whether you like it or not. If God determines, in eternity that you're going to be lost, then by George, you're going to be lost, and it doesn't matter whether you want to be or not. And if you're going to be saved, then you're going to be saved. Also, doesn't matter whether you want to or not. Now, let me suggest to you that there isn't much of anything that could be more false than that idea. That is an absolutely ludicrous and false idea. Okay? I can't say it strongly enough. That is absolutely untrue. And the man who came up with that, I'm sure he was in some ways a very good man, but he was a very confused man and came up with something that simply is not true. Every single individual is created in the image of God, and like God has free will. Every single person is a self-determined being. You are free to choose. You are free to decide. And because you're responsible for the choices you make. And what this psalm is talking about is the fact that there are two ways you can live your life. You can either be a righteous person or you can be a wicked person. You can be a good person or you can be a bad person. The choice is up to you. What are you going to choose? Well, the psalmist here talks about what kind of person a righteous person is, a wicked person is, what kind of things the righteous person does, and what kind of things the wicked person does. It doesn't go into an awful lot of detail, but enough so that you can see clearly that there are two paths here. There are two roads. There are two choices. You can go this way, or you can go this way. And what he's suggesting, the psalmist is suggesting, is that the path of the righteous is a much better path. So let's just take a minute and think about what he says here. Excuse me. Blessed is the man. And the word blessed is the idea that you're going to be happy. You're to be congratulated. You're going to be happy. This is a good thing. This is going to work out well for you. Okay. Blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked. In other words, he doesn't listen to wicked people. He hears what they say. He knows what they advocate. But he says, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. Not going down that road. See, he does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of scoffers. Some people have pointed out that it's very interesting here. It starts out with walking and standing and then sitting, and it's kind of a progression. You know, you kind of settle in, and you're with these wicked people. And the psalmist is saying, now, the righteous man, the man for whom things are going to go well, okay, the righteous man avoids wicked people. He doesn't listen to their counsel. He doesn't spend time with them, and he just avoids them altogether. He's got something else on his mind. Well, what? Verse 2, his delight, that is the righteous man, his delight is in the law of the Lord. And on his law, he meditates day and night. Now, you don't want to push the details too far and say literally every single minute of the day, 24 hours a day, all the righteous person does is think about the law of God. Well, that wouldn't be a good understanding of this. And in fact, it would be impossible to do, because you have to sleep at some point, right? And you have to eat, and there's work you have to do. And in order to do your work, you have to concentrate on what you're doing. You can't literally think 24 hours a day about the law of God. What he's doing is he's exaggerating a little bit to make a point. Okay, it's a figure of speech. It's symbolic language that allows us to think about something. And so he's saying what he loves is God and God's ways and the things God says and the instructions God gives us. And he's focused on those. Those are the important things to him. And he just spends a lot of time thinking about those things. See? And that's what a righteous person does. And the consequence of that, the results of that, is that he's like a tree planted by streams of water. See, now, again, he's using figurative language. He's not saying he is a tree. He says he's like a tree planted by streams of water. Well, what does that mean? What if a tree is planted by streams of water? Well, it gets a lot of water, doesn't it? Roots go down, and then there's plenty of water around, and the tree is nourished, and because of all the water it's getting, it can produce its fruit, and it's a good tree. People will like that tree. See, his leaf doesn't wither, his good fruit in the season for fruit, right? And then he concludes, he says, whatever he does prospers. The righteous person is going to be blessed in life, and things are going to go well for him. Now, that doesn't mean, and you shouldn't take it to mean, that nothing bad ever happens to righteous people, because we know it does. And that's a major question. You know, why do bad things happen to good people? That's one of the themes of the book of Job, right? All kinds of bad things happen to Job. And his friends tried to convince him, well, Job, these bad things happen to you because you're a bad person. So why don't you confess your sin, then you'll feel better. And Job kept saying, yeah, but I'm not. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't deserve this. I don't know why this has happened, but I don't deserve this. Well, the point is that sometimes bad things happen, and it's not the person's fault. They're not being punished. See, it's just sometimes in life bad things happen. People do ugly things that hurt somebody else, or things happen. Maybe there's a flood that washes away somebody's house, or an earthquake that shakes the ground so much that the house falls down, or a fire that burns down somebody's field and now their crop is destroyed. I mean, bad things happen. and everybody has to cope with bad things. This isn't saying if you're a righteous person, nothing bad will ever happen to you. The Bible doesn't teach that, and that's just not a true idea. What this is saying is if you have a fundamental choice to make in life, right? You can either go down the road of wickedness or you can go down the road of righteousness. And that things will go better for you if you go down the road of righteousness. See, that's what he's saying. You want a good life? You want a life that turns out really well? Then go down the road of righteousness. Now, listen what he says about the wicked. Not so the wicked. They are like chaff that the wind blows away. Well, what's chaff? Well, they grew a lot of grain, and especially in wheat. Around the little stalk of wheat, there's an enclosure to protect the stalk of wheat, right? And around that stalk of wheat is this stuff called chaff, and it opens up and it comes off, and it's real light, and it just blows away, right? And then you have the stalk of wheat that you can break off and use to grind it and make it into flour and to make bread and whatever you're going to do with it, right? But the chaff is worthless. It's not good for anything. And when you thresh the wheat, and they would have a threshing floor, and those of you who have a background in agriculture or farming, you're going to understand this, but they would do threshing, and the idea was to break the chaff away, and then the chaff is just swept away or blown away. If it's a windy day, if you throw it up, it just blows away, right? He's saying that's what the wicked are like. They don't have any stamina. They don't stay around for long. They're not the real important part of anything. They just blow away. And so because of that, the wicked will not stand in judgment. They won't be able to stand there before the God of the universe, the judge of the universe, and remain strong. They will be dismissed and sent away, you see. And sinners will not be found in the assembly of the righteous. People who choose the path of wickedness are going down the road to destruction. And people who choose the path of righteousness are going down the road of blessing. See, that's really what this psalm is about. And so he concludes by saying, "For the Lord watches over the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked will perish." Now, again, it doesn't mean that nothing bad will ever happen to good people and nothing good will ever happen to bad people. That's just not true. We can see that that's not true. It's talking in general, the end result. Things are not going to turn out well for wicked people. Things are going to turn out great for righteous people. So here's the question. Which path are you going to choose? Which road are you going to go down? How are you going to live your life? That's the question. And the answer is up to you. Nobody's going to make you do one or the other, not even God. It is up to you. You have free will. You're a self-determined person. You choose what kind of a person you're going to be. God wants you to be a good person, and He'll help you be a good person. But the choice is yours. You have to make the decision, and you have to make some effort, and then God will help you. Well, those are my thoughts for the day. I hope you find them helpful in some way. And as always, I would say to you, read your Bible, pray, go to church, and may God bless.